Well, the cost of Hurricane Ida hasn't been tallied yet, but it is expected to add up to tens of billions of dollars. Many thought the damage would be limited to the Gulf Coast, but the scope of the destruction in the Northeast caught millions of people off guard. Now forecasters warn climate change could cause more storms like Ida. This week, we spoke with two experts about how the U.S. can weather future climate-linked disasters. When Hurricane Ida blew ashore, places like Grand Isle and Laplace in Louisiana expected to be underwater. But the devastation in the mid and North Atlantic regions were unprecedented.
There were accounts of dozens of people who had drowned in New Jersey and New York. I mean, it was literal that this storm is coming for you.
Andy Horowitz teaches history at Tulane University and authored Katrina, A History, 1915 to 2015.
Did you expect that we would be where we are now?
I certainly feared that we would be where we are now. And the sort of policies that we make to aid people or not, to help people go home or help them find a safer place to live, are really gonna be the story of Ida, much more than simply the wind and the rain from last weekend.
The Biden administration's $1.2 trillion infrastructure plan would support renewable energy and public works to cut emissions.
There's another bill in Congress, the budget reconciliation package, which is $3.5 trillion, that gets a little closer to the scale of the problem and really makes more investments in clean energy and trying to move us away from burning all of the oil that is causing these problems and making them continually worse.
But according to geology professor Rob Young of Western Carolina University, it can't possibly protect more than 60,000 miles of U.S. shoreline.
It's not about what we put on the ground to fix or protect things. It's what we're putting in the air right now that's warming climate. That's where we need to be focusing our energies.
And for people living in vulnerable areas, he says, mitigation is no longer an option.
We have to be able to have a serious, honest discussion about what we do with places that we know are so vulnerable that they're always going to be at risk, and the risk is only going to go up with changing climate.
And all of those protections completed back in 2018, it cost about $14 billion. It is ranked as one of the largest public works projects in world history. Well, according to the Army Corps of Engineers, they now say that the system will be obsolete by next year because of rising sea levels and shrinking levees.
One number I've seen is 10%. Even if changes in the climate add 10% to a storm, the storm's already bad.
Right.
And then if it's supercharged.
That's it.
Yeah, and when he said vulnerable areas, it feels like after what we saw this week, everybody's vulnerable.
That's it. And everyone across the country in those areas that are nearby estuaries, yeah, you got to think about that.